I never imagined a single envelope could turn my entire life upside down. One day, I was tracking a $5,000 tax refund, already planning how to use it. The next day, it was gone like it never existed. The last person I noticed near my mailbox was my HOA president, smiling in a way that felt smug, like she'd just gotten away with something. I didn't realize it at the time, but that smile marked the beginning of a nightmare, one that would eventually come to a head at her own birthday party. I live in a quiet, picture-perfect neighborhood, the kind with neatly trimmed lawns, identical mailboxes, and HOA that claims it exists solely to protect property values. For years, I stayed out of trouble. I paid my dues on time, followed the rules, and avoided unnecessary conflict. That all changed the moment Karen became HOA president. She was the type who carried a clipboard like it granted her authority over everyone's life. Always watching, always judging. If your trash bin sat out 5 minutes too long, she noticed. If your grass grew half an inch too high, she was knocking on your door. We were never friendly, but things escalated quickly after I questioned one of her fines. I calmly asked her to show me where in the bylaws it said I couldn't park my work truck overnight. She didn't appreciate that. Her smile tightened, her eyes hardened, and from that day forward, it felt like she was hunting for reasons to punish me. Warning letters, friendly reminders, passive-aggressive emails copied to the entire HOA board. Even then, I never believed she'd cross into criminal territory. The week my tax refund was supposed to arrive, I checked my mailbox every single day. Nothing showed up. I waited a few more days. Still nothing. When I logged into my IRS account, my heart sank. The check had already been issued and cashed. My stomach dropped. I called the IRS hotline, expecting to hear about a delay or clerical error. Instead, the agent went silent and asked me to confirm something that made my hands start shaking. The check had been deposited through a mobile app. The endorsement on the back wasn't my name. As I replayed everything in my head, one moment stood out like a flashing warning sign. 2 weeks earlier, I'd been unloading groceries when Karen walked past my mailbox. She joked about how people shouldn't rely on government handouts, laughed to herself, and walked away. At the time, I ignored it. Now my chest tightened. No one else had been near my mail. No one else had motive. Suddenly, all her hostility made a sick kind of sense. The IRS launched a fraud investigation faster than I expected. They asked about disputes, neighbors, anyone who might benefit. I told them everything. The HOA tension, the fines, the threats, the way Karen always acted untouchable. The agent didn't react much, just typed quietly before telling me not to contact the suspect. That word, suspect, kept echoing in my head. Over the next few days, Karen started acting even stranger. She strutted through the neighborhood, laughing loudly, busy organizing her upcoming birthday party. Decorations went up in her yard. Catering trucks arrived. A banner appeared that read Queen of the cul-de-sac. Meanwhile, I barely slept, constantly checking my bank account, wondering how someone could steal from me and live so comfortably. Then I got a call that made my heart race. The IRS agent said they had confirmed the check was deposited into an account linked to someone in my neighborhood. They had digital trails, timing data, and surveillance. I looked out my window and saw Karen directing a delivery truck, clapping her hands, completely unaware of what was coming. That's when I realized this wasn't just about stolen money. It was about control, entitlement, and how far she believed she could go without consequences. The tension didn't explode right away. It settled in slowly, heavy like a storm cloud hovering over the neighborhood. Karen's birthday party became all anyone talked about. She went door to door with invitations, smiling wide, playing the generous ruler she believed herself to be. When she stopped at my house, she lingered just long enough to remind me that attendance was strongly encouraged by the HOA board. The tone wasn't friendly. It was a threat. By then, IRS agents were examining things I barely understood. Digital fingerprints, timestamps, device locations. They asked me to walk them through the day my check should have arrived. As I spoke, the whole thing felt disturbingly calculated. Karen knew my work schedule. She knew when I wasn't home. She knew exactly when the mail arrived. This wasn't impulsive. It was deliberate. At the same time, her behavior became more theatrical. She parked her car sideways during HOA inspections, daring anyone to complain. She slapped violation notices on doors with exaggerated flair. One neighbor told me Karen had bragged about coming into unexpected money and joked that birthdays were better when you could really spoil yourself. That comment made my skin crawl. I passed it along to the agent. This time, there was a pause on the line, a long one. 2 days before the party, Karen confronted me in the street. No clipboard, just confidence. She accused me of spreading rumors and claimed people like me always tried to tear down successful women. Her voice rose with every sentence, making sure nearby neighbors heard. I stayed calm, but my heart was pounding. The angrier she got, the more convinced I became that she believed she was untouchable. The night before her birthday, unmarked cars began appearing on nearby streets. I noticed them immediately, but I didn't say a single word. The agents had warned me clearly. Don't tip her off. Don't react. Don't change your routine. Karen, meanwhile, leaned fully into her arrogance. She blasted music late into the night, openly violating her own noise regulations, daring anyone to challenge her authority. By the morning of the party, her house looked more like a luxury resort than a suburban home. Tents covered the lawn. Balloons lined the driveway. Catering vans came and went. Gift tables overflowed with boxes and envelopes. Guests arrived dressed to impress, laughing loudly, carrying wine bottles and wrapped presents. Karen drifted through it all in a designer dress, soaking up attention, smiling like someone who believed consequences were for other people. Every grin she flashed made my stomach twist tighter. Then something changed. Mid-afternoon, her laughter faltered when she noticed unfamiliar people standing quietly across the street, watching. At first, she brushed it off, lifting her glass for a toast, but her eyes kept flicking back in their direction. When a black SUV pulled up and didn't leave, I saw the color drain from her face, just for a second, before she forced another laugh. I stood at my window, barely breathing. Phones started buzzing around the party. Conversations softened, then stalled. Karen stepped inside her house, arguing with someone on the phone, her voice sharp, clipped, and suddenly panicked. Guests began whispering, confused, irritated, uneasy. That's when the agents moved in. They didn't rush. They didn't shout. They walked with purpose. Badges visible, expressions calm, unstoppable. The music cut off mid-song. Someone dropped a glass. Karen stepped back outside just as they reached the driveway. And for the first time since I'd known her, she looked small. An agent spoke her name. The party froze. In that heavy silence, I knew whatever story she'd been telling herself was about to collapse in front of everyone she tried so hard to impress. Karen tried to speak first. I could see it on her face, the instinct to control the moment, to turn authority into armor. She laughed nervously and said there had to be some mistake, that this was a private event, that they were ruining her birthday. The lead agent didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply asked her to step aside. That calm response landed harder than any shouting could have. As they guided her toward the house, guests backed away as if the ground itself had become unsafe. Phones came out. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Karen kept looking around, searching for anyone, to interrupt the moment and restore image. No one did. Inside the house, agents opened drawers, examined documents, and collected devices. Every confident story she'd built about herself began peeling away. One agent pulled out a folder and said my name out loud. That was when Karen snapped. She screamed that I'd set her up, that I was obsessed, that this was retaliation for HOA fines. The accusation echoed across the yard, but it didn't land the way she expected. People didn't turn toward me. They stared at her. Her voice cracked as the agent calmly explained evidence. Mail theft, forged endorsement, mobile deposit records traced directly to her phone, her account, her IP address. There was nowhere left to hide. Then came the part none of us anticipated. Karen broke down and started talking, not denying, but explaining. She said she was drowning. Credit cards maxed out. HOA funds borrowed to cover personal expenses. She told him she'd convince herself she could replace my refund before I ever noticed. She said the birthday party was supposed to be her reset, her chance to look successful again. The $5,000 wasn't about greed, she claimed. It was about desperation and control. Hearing that didn't bring relief. It brought clarity. She hadn't just stolen money. She'd stolen peace. She'd abused authority because she was terrified of losing it. The woman who ruled the neighborhood through fear unraveled in front of everyone, exposed not as powerful, but fragile and reckless. The agents led her away while guests quietly filtered out, decorations still swaying in the breeze. No music, no cake, just silence, and a half-deflated banner flapping above an empty driveway. Later that week, my refund was returned in full. Apologies from the HOA board followed, awkward, rushed, defensive. Karen resigned before charges were officially filed. Her house went quiet. A for sale sign appeared, then disappeared. Now, when I check my mail, I don't rush anymore. I stand there a moment longer, breathing in the calm. Power built on intimidation always collapses. Sometimes all it takes is one envelope and the right timing for the truth to walk straight to the front door. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Every subscription motivates me to bring you even more dramatic and satisfying HOA stories. Don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. I'll see you in the next story where justice is even sweeter.